Ruma, welcome back.
Thank you.
Uh, in our last conversation, you introduced uh, the third stage of leadership, sacred leadership,
Yeah.
and you introduced this really interesting concept of uh, being in service of the whole.
Mhm.
Uh, what more do you want to share with us on that topic?
You know, last time when we were discussing about, well, what do we do or how do we start gaining access to this stage of leadership? And now I had said something around starting to understand the whole of our own selves. What does that even mean? And as we peel off the layers, more and more things emerge. And so actually that is slowly understanding what it really means, the whole, before we can even serve the whole.
Mhm.
And of course, then taking the concept beyond yourself. So that was what I had, talked about last time. And when we ended, there is one thing about that whole you will notice is when we said that everything is included. It's, everything is part of the whole. We are not separating out, we are not distinguishing what to include and what not to include in the whole. So this idea or the concept of separation actually starts disappearing when we move towards this whole, because you will see the concept of separation is very much prevalent, is very much there in the control stage, because I'm separate and hence I'm controlling everything, right? And then on everybody. And then in the relational stage as well, I am considering myself as separate from the other with whom I need to relate. So the separation concept or the separation consciousness is there. In the sacred stage, that starts dissolving. Okay. And there are still boundaries in the sense that we are still different. It's not that we all become homogeneous. We are still different and we all have our place, every single person, and yet we are not separate. So we are different, but not separate. All parts of ourselves, they're different. The emotional body is different from the physical body, but then we are not separate. It's all part of us, the whole of us.
Ruma, at a very conceptual level, I get it. Can you give us an example of the concept of separation at the you know how we would experience it at the control leadership stage? How would we experience it at the relational stage?
Okay. So I will probably simplify a very big worldwide issue and, our generational issue or ancestral issue that we have, which is around inclusion. Because that's what I'm trying to say is actually separation is the opposite of inclusion. Exclusion is the opposite of inclusion. So when we stop separating, we include everything, we integrate everything. So the idea is, or the thing is, where did we start separating in the first place? Where is the separation concept coming from? And I'm going to simplify this whole story in my way. And of course, there are a whole lot of nuances and everything, and history and geography and everything that is included in this. And I do not want to dumb down any experience or anything. But for this 10 minutes conversation, so let's say millions of years ago, when we were hunter-gatherers, that means human beings were hunter-gatherers, there was gender separation, yes. But did we have this whole idea of I am separate from the other person? I don't know. Did we have man is more powerful than the woman? And all researchers are showing no, because the hunter-gatherers, we were just hunter-gatherers. So when we settle down into more, say, farming societies, and the smaller farming societies that were there, the women and the men would work equally in the field. Yes, because there was not so much requirement of say physical power. We did not have those heavy lifting. We were not working with animals when we are doing smaller, small scale farming. When large scale farming started happening, that's where, animals were being used in the fields. And that's where the physical power of man started taking precedence and started, taking, I would say, a forefront, or the front line. And that's where the separation started happening. And in my simplistic story, and where the decisions, hence, and the man was working in the field, hence all the decisions related to the field would be taken by the man, and the woman hence started taking a little bit more, other kind of activities and filling in other activities. So the decisions, as soon as decisions started being taken by the man, then the power separation started happening, in the sense that who is more powerful in the relationship, let me put it that way, or who is doing more work in the relationship. Clearly the physical work is doing more by the men. And then as the societies progressed, and there were other departments, institutions, and everything that came into being, the man started taking more and more responsibilities, and hence the separation became larger and larger and bigger. And of course, we have not talked about power dynamics yet, but that plays a big role in separating this, making this separation bigger and larger. Now here we are suddenly coming and saying that in the sacred stage, there is no separation, because that separation is man-made. It's not actually how we are meant to be, but we are still different. So from a practical step or a practical stage, when we talk about inclusion and the needle not moving, my understanding is that it is this, something needs to shift in us, where this separation is removed, rather than thinking through, that we are not different. We are different, but we are not separate. I don't know if that gives an example, a more practical example of where we are at right now. I hope it does.
Ruma, thank you for leaving us with that thought. Thank you for the session.
Thank you. See you soon.